Let's get it started.
Welcome back to the First Off, in my opinion, podcast.
You know how we do.
Tom Swoop.
Turn this up.
How y'all doing, my good people? It's your boy Tom Swoop, and we are broadcasting live from Solid Direction Studios in the heart of my basement. How are you doing tonight? We got a good one for you. Man, we got Alecia Nicole in the building tonight. But first off, I just want to let all my people know who are watching on Facebook. Go ahead and share the post. Go ahead and put it in your favorite group, favorite page, whatever you need to do. Send it to your friends in Messenger. Let's take this to the next level tonight. And all my people watching on YouTube, please subscribe, thumbs up, bell notifications, and all that jazz. And we're going to try to keep growing this thing exponentially. But tonight, my special guest is Alecia Nicole. Alecia Nicole, speak to the people.
What's up, everybody? It's so good to be here with you this evening.
Okay.
So
Go ahead, keep going. I'm listening. I got my popcorn out.
I was just going to introduce myself.
Go ahead now.
So I am a speaker. I'm a writer, and I'm also Swoop's cousin. So I'm looking forward to this conversation tonight. I'm ready to get into it.
Okay. So when we talked about doing the show, I've been wanting to get you on here ever since I launched this season, because when I think of people I just like to talk to and listen to, that small cousin in Georgia just always comes to mind. Always. And you know what I'm saying, I've been watching what you're doing. You moving your product, your website is popping, the blogs are dope. And I'm just grateful that you came on tonight, and we're gonna have a good show. So when you had sent me, we were talking about what we're gonna do tonight, and one of the things that popped up is trust your intuition. And just tell everybody a little bit about your take on that.
So my take on trusting your intuition is really comparable to the old adage, go with your first mind. Mm-hmm. I think that thing that tugs you on the inside is tugging at you for a reason. Mm-hmm. And typically, I can say specifically from a woman's perspective, it's usually very accurate. And it can range from the most small, detailed things all the way to major life decisions. There's usually something like an internal voice that prompts you and pulls you as it relates to decisions that you have to make and just moves that need to be made. Uh-huh. That intuition really speaks volumes, and it speaks volumes for a reason.
Okay. So give me your opinion of intuition, discernment, and then when you even talked to, a little about consciousness, like when the dynamic between, are they the same, similar, different bag of apples altogether?
So I think that the terms can definitely be used interchangeably. Mm-hmm. I would say discernment. So here's what I would consider to be the difference. I think discernment is your ability to be able to distinctively, determine right from wrong, good or bad. I think that's what discernment is. I
Okay.
think intuition is a step above discernment, in that it guides you in how to make decisions. So those subtle nuances, that you find in between the good and the bad, like the gaps that exist between the good and the bad. So it might not be good necessarily or bad for me to move from one city to another, but there may be, again, those subtle nuances that lend themselves to what may be more beneficial than the other.
Okay. Okay. Now you wrote a blog, and I just want to read a little excerpt from that blog. Okay. I
All
believe I
right.
missed out on excuse me. I believe I missed out on a friendship of a lifetime because I didn't trust my gut instinct. What I have realized is that when you ignore your intuition, you mute and dishonor yourself, invite counterfeits, waste time, energy, effort, and delay your truest blessings. And that's from the blog post No Better Blues, and you can catch that on her website. And the link is in the description. So and it's a whole story behind this, of course, and we want people to
Yeah.
go to the page and read it. But tell us a little bit about this excerpt and what it meant to you.
Oh man. So the story behind this.
Now I ain't
Yeah,
gonna
I
tell a
would.
lie. I'm about to get on you a little bit. A little bit. You about to get a little. You about to get a bit of a verbal spanking. But go ahead.
So yeah, the story behind this one is definitely one for the books. Is I would truly encourage everybody to go read the blog because it was just an experience of a lifetime. But what I will say about that particular quote is that I knew there was something from the very beginning. So just to give a very brief summary, there was someone who I met that, of the opposite sex, that when we began our relationship, I knew I just wanted to be friends with this person. But it had been so long since I had been in a relationship, and he treated me so well that everybody around me was pushing me to, in one way or the other, they
Mm-hmm.
were pushing me to, have more than just a friendship with this person. And, a year and a half in, a lot of different experiences, ups, downs, our relationship ended.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, I like how you
um,
finished that.
I know we're gonna get into it, but our relationship ended, and it was very devastating for me because this person, was very compassionate. They were kind. They were generous. They were loyal. We had similar types of humor, so we were able to enjoy similar things. And so I really felt like I missed out on the ability to have a solid friend because I didn't trust my personal gut. I listened to the voice of others over my own internal voice.
Okay. So without giving away the whole blog post, you guys something was revealed, that he in a previous life or situation used to date men. Um, First off, in my opinion, when in Georgia, there are some things you have to ask first.
True.
In the state of Georgia, I have been down there for years. The first time I went there, they tried me. I was in the airport, hadn't even got my luggage yet, and I was already approached. So when in Georgia, there's certain things you have to ask first. Now, with that being said, and this is maybe a little bit off topic, is that a double standard though? I mean, honestly, because I feel like guys, if that would have happened to me in reverse, and it was a woman who said, "Oh, I used to date women back in the day," it's like we just, oh, okay, and we moved past it. Do you think you couldn't move past it, or is it something? Is it a double standard? What, you know what I'm saying? Like let's touch it with a finger.
So, I will say in my circumstance, I don't feel like it was a double standard because have personal preferences, and I'm clear about my personal preferences. And one of my personal preferences is that I want a man that wants women. Okay.
Okay, but the thing is,
So
he did. At the juncture you were at, you were having fun. You know what I'm saying? At that point, he wanted a woman, so it could have been a phase. You see what I'm saying? Like if it happened like back in the day, and then it was a phase. I tried it out. This is Georgia. This is what they doing down here. You know what I'm saying? Wasn't for me. But now I'm strictly with women now. But obviously, it was more to it for you.
Yes, it was definitely more to it for me. I think that I can see, some people have they experiment in different ways. That's just not something that I'm interested in personally. And there are some people, I know a lot of people who date people who experiment in different things that they maybe weren't interested in, but they were able to get past it. I just don't want to have to wonder all the time. So I'm gonna give you a prime example.
Go ahead.
I remember at one point we were watching a show. A commercial came on, a basketball commercial, and this was not necessarily somebody who was super into fashion, tennis shoes, whatever. So this commercial came on, and he rewound it like more than once. And so I'm sitting next to him, thinking to myself, okay, is he rewinding this to see the tennis shoes that the guy have on? Like, what's the purpose of him rewinding this commercial? I just couldn't get past that. That was just something that replayed over and over in my mind. And it's just something that I don't want to have to question.
But, the episode, I don't know, you watch Insecure? I do. Okay, so you remember, I think it was like season 2 or something like that, when, why can't I pronounce her name? The skinny one. What's her name?
Issa?
No, the other one. That one is African.
Yvonne.
Yeah, Yvonne.
Her name is Molly in the show.
Molly. Okay, so Molly's dating a guy, and the one skinny, light-skinned dude, and they're having a conversation, and she's like, yeah, when I was in college, I experimented with a few guys. A few girls, nothing too serious. So he was like, when I was in college, I did some stuff with a guy. It got weird one night, and she was done. She was like it just died in her eyes. It was just over with. Yes. You know what I'm saying? And for one, I'm really playing devil's advocate because I really do get it. But it is like, okay, what if it's the truth? What if it really is the truth? And I did some stuff years ago. It got weird, and that was it. And I never did it again. And he just really was rewinding the commercial just to see, hey, what brand of wristbands are those? What if it was just that?
It could have been the case. However, again, that's not something I want to wonder about. I do think that if it's the truth, again, going back to intuition, I think if it's the truth, it's the truth. And you're able to kind of push past that. But from the onset of our relationship, I knew that I only wanted to be friends with this person. Mm-hmm. And so because that was already a barrier that I pushed past, when this information was revealed to me about his past, it was at that point where I kind of was just like, I don't know if this is I knew that was not another hurdle that I wanted to jump. Mm. I think that if in the beginning, I felt like this is the truth, that this is something that I want to dive head into, that I have no reservations, then that knowledge would have been something that I would have been much more, I would have been much more acceptable to me, and I would have pushed past that. But at that point in our relationship, after already knowing this was not really something that I wanted to get into in this way in the first place, I was like,
no, fam, it ain't gonna work. Now, reading into the blog post a little bit, you said something, and I'm actually working on a show to come out in a couple weeks, and it's dealing with this topic, and it's like, it's been a long time for you to date. Like, you know, you're in between dating. Let's say you haven't dated in a few years. And I've done a show called Dating After Divorce. And I think the show that needs to be done is dating after a long stagnant period. And knowing whether or not you're doing it for the right person. I mean, doing it for the right reason, the right person, the right situation. And then understanding that it's like a muscle, like that you haven't used. And so it's out of shape. And so getting back in shape, because it's like dating changes. Like it's like, I mean, I was married for 13 years and then I started dating. Girl, let me tell you how crazy it was. I just thought it was the weirdest thing. And it's like, I just had to take time out. So I used to be like, oh, I need to stop this because I'm doing it all wrong. And so when you take that break, when you take that extended time away from dating, and then you try to date again, you're trying to listen to your intuition. You're trying to let your heart be free. You know, your little partner down there always got something to say. And then your mind is racing because you got possibilities and endless things that you want to have happen. And then you just haven't done it in a while. So talk a little bit about just that space, you know, before you even chose, like how you said, your friends, everybody, the pressure of, hey, this is the guy versus this has been a minute for me. You know, I could, you know, I'm not really that good at this anymore. You know what I'm saying? So like, just talk about that space.
Yeah. So that space is a really vulnerable space.
Good word. Good word.
It is one in which you have to be super aware of what you want. I think at that point I had been single for like 7 years or something like that.
Ooh.
And is exactly.
Now when you say single, you gotta quantify that in 2021. So that's like single, no serious situationships, not sexually active. Like, cause people be like, oh, I'm single. Then you would meet them, they be like, oh yeah, that's my ex. How is that your ex and you just said you've been single for 18,000 years?
Yeah, so I was single. Like, no, there was no hookups, there was no we talking, there was no. It wasn't none of that. It was just me for 7 years. And I think that at that point, so for me, I had a couple different things going on. I had been single for so long, but then I'm also a little bit older, what people would classify as being older and being single. I was well into my 30s, mid 30s. And so at that point, everybody's like, when you gonna get married? When you gonna have kids?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we want grandkids, we want nieces and nephews, and all of this kind of stuff. So you start to feel that pressure, but then you feel a little bit apprehensive because it has been so long. And like you said, the dating game has changed so much. It's gone from meeting people organically in person to online dating, which is and I even felt pressured to experience online dating, and it was horrible, but that's a story for another day. So feeling all of these different pressures, like you said, you're feeling, you know, the things that you feel as a human being in your body, being single for so long. You know, you have, for me, I have a set of standards that I would like to implement as it relates to someone who I partner with in life.
I'm glad you brought that up.
You also got that going. So there's all these different factors that are that just add a little bit more pressure. And so I think that is probably all of those different pressures that were screaming to me at the same time was probably why I was a little bit more easily swayed to press forward into something that I knew I shouldn't have.
So one of the things I think for me, you know, when dating is I don't assume, like I sort of fall back and let the friendship develop. And then Because then my thing is, I'd rather have a friend at the end of this than somebody I got beef with, somebody I see and I'm going the other way. You know what I'm saying? I don't like to apply a whole bunch of pressure and force something that, like you said, could have just been a friendship. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like the world is forcing us to apply pressure, like you said, from friends, family, age, demographic. You know, oh, I'm getting older. I need to settle down. I need to do this. I need to do that. And you be enforced something with somebody that honestly should have just always just been a friend. And I remember, you know, what's that Sarah Jake's husband, Tor Roberts? What is his name?
Ray Roberts.
Yeah. So when he did that video a couple years ago on chemistry, and you know, you meeting people and you sort of forcing them into roles when really you can satisfy those roles with multiple people. Like, you might have great chemistry with a friend, a cousin, a coworker, and then you might have intimacy. Like, I think people be trying to find everything in one person. So it's like you're forcing something when honestly this person is just your friend, just your, like, you, I think you said it in the piece, companionship. And I feel like people need to understand and normalize companionship is a real thing. It's a realistic goal, and it shouldn't be frowned upon. Like, people be like, well, I want a relationship. No, you might just want companionship. There's a difference.
Right.
And that's where I'm at with it. Like, you have to be able to, these words that we frown upon, lonely, single, just wanting a companionship, all these words that we like look at people and just attach a stigma to, we have to stop. We have to stop it. Just stop it.
And I think, listen, I totally agree with you, and I think you just said something really profound. And I'm gonna say it in a super like general way. Just because it's blue doesn't mean it's the sky. So just because you feel an attraction towards a person does not mean that's supposed to be your bed buddy. It does not mean that's supposed to be your spouse. It does not mean that that's supposed to be, you know, the person you hook up with or whatever. That could mean that's supposed to be your friend. That could mean that's just somebody that's supposed to be your associate. Like, we take these feelings that we experience and we put them in a box. We label them. We automatically label them like, well, because I feel this way about this person, that must mean that I'm supposed to experience this type of relationship with them. And that's not necessarily the case. Mm-hmm. And a whole nother topic for, I don't know if you ever talked about, is that can men and women really be friends? Because this was somebody who, this was a man who I genuinely felt like if we hadn't have crossed that line, we would be rocking and rolling today. Like, really close friends. Now,
do you feel like he caught your vibe of, you know, after, you know, he told you what he told you? Do you feel like he caught your vibe and just was like, yeah, she's not the same, so I'm going to fall back from this situation? And then it's like, I don't even want to be her friend at this point. Or do you feel like it was just like, oh yeah, he's just done with it? Or do you feel like you changed a little bit and he caught wind of it and just was like, yeah, this ain't what I want to do?
So I think for me, I tried really hard to not let on that I was feeling some sort of way.
You wearing it on your face, I could tell. Terrible poker player, terrible spades player. Okay.
Oh my God. Now I'm an excellent spades player, but in this particular situation, I had a difficult time holding myself together. But at that point, we had built a relationship for probably almost a year. And so we had built these really strong bonds, right? Mm-hmm. And so at that point, I just felt like I'm already in. Mm-hmm. So let me try to push past this, just like I pushed past the fact that I knew we was only supposed to be friends. I'm like, let me push past this and see what can come from this. Because of course, at that point, we had started talking. What do our future look like? Do we want to get married? Do we want to have kids? You know, I had already met his family. He was talking about coming to meet my family. Like, it had started to get serious at that point. So I was like, man, do I really want to throw all of this investment away because I feel a certain way about his past. And we actually continued to be in a relationship for probably almost another year. And I remember at one point, almost a year later, probably really close to a year later, we were we were laying in bed one night, and I literally just said to him out of the blue, I asked him, I'm like, do you feel that? And he was like, what? I was like, something is about to change. I had no clue what. I had no clue when. I just felt, again, that intuition rose up on the inside of me and was like, something is about to change in y'all's relationship. And he was like, yeah, I do feel it. He was like, I started feeling it about a week ago. He was like, I'm not ready to lose you yet. And that was kind of the end of the conversation. But our relationship took a drastic turn about 2 months after that.
So as of right now, is he somebody you can pick up the phone and talk to? No. Damn it.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate.
Yeah. I have a person like that, and no matter what my efforts were to salvage our friendship, it's unsalvageable. And I really be trying, because I do not like to have enemies or anything like that. That's just not my thing. But yeah, sometimes you just can't save it. That ship is going down.
And it's a really terrible experience when you know the person is a good person.
Right.
He was legit super cool. He was down to earth. He was fun to be around. I think that was the most devastating part for me. Was not like, oh man, I'm going through another breakup. It was like, oh man, I just lost a connection with a really cool, legit person.
I talked about it last week, and I was saying, friends are really hard to come by, real friends. And it's like, some people be like, well, I've known so-and-so since high school. Like, when you get older in your 40s, you ain't no more high school. It'd be tough to find those bonding type of relationships where you actually develop a real friendship. So when you lose a friend, late in life, it's literally like losing a family member, because you like, dang, I can't call Auntie Jessie no more. She gone. You know what I'm saying? And it's real. But you know what? I wanted to pivot this into a piece that I heard, and then we're going to transition this conversation into something a little bit more. So I want you to listen to this piece, and then we're going to talk about it afterwards. This is a piece from Jordan Peterson, psychologist, and just check it out.
What's the relative importance of career and motherhood in the typical woman's life? I'm 55, and I've been working with men and women my entire life, and I've watched this, and it's quite obvious. It's like at 19, it's all career. By 30, that's just not the case. It's not the case. I don't know if I've seen a single woman who I didn't think had a psychological problem, who hadn't seriously flipped in their attitude towards the balance of family and career by the time they were 30. And then you see lots of women who at 40 haven't had kids and perhaps wanted to, and that's not a pleasant situation. I was talking to a woman who is about 39, a professional woman, attractive, well put together, competent, well educated, successful in her profession, unmarried, in a relationship with an older guy, but unmarried, and desperate to have a child. She said no one ever talked to her about the fact that she'd actually want to have a family or encouraged her to think about doing that. It was as if it wasn't within the realm of possibility that one of the things that she might have the ambition to do would be to be a mother. And that's just not acceptable. And it was like she woke up in her late 30s and thought, well, the first thing she thought was, this profession of mine is actually nowhere near as comprehensively fulfilling as the advertisements claimed, which is something that virtually everyone discovers as they move forward in their professional career. Now,
that goes on for a few more minutes, but I wanted to introduce that to bring back some of the things that you had said when you said, you're getting older and you starting to notice that, you want some things out of life that you're not getting. And the narrative of successful African American women who, that are career focused, and he actually goes on to talk about a few more things, few more relationship dynamics, and it just brings it, for me, I want to get your take on, we're programming, and I really feel like it's black women. I feel like we're programming black women to be so successful that they're unmarriable. And it's not because there's a lack of men, it's that we've told them that we're programming them to think that they can only marry a certain type of man. Like he has to be more successful, more educated, more for you to even think about him. And so therefore you're getting a lot of women in their 30s and 40s who aren't married, who, want to be mothers and want families, but they're convinced there's no men because there's not men on their level. What's your take on that?
That is such a loaded question.
That's what we do here. That's what do.
Oh God.
Let's go. No, I'm for real. This is serious because you know a lot of professional women, and a lot of professional, probably unmarried women. You work with them. You know what I'm saying? You probably counsel them, coach them, whatever. Is there something you're seeing? Is there a trend? Is there any truth to what he's saying?
I think there's definitely truth to what he's saying. I think that so God, it's so layered.
Pick a piece.
I think that black women in particular, have had to go above and beyond because they have had to.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily because they wanted to, but because there has been, in the past generations, absence of a man who traditionally is the role of a provider and a protector and one who covers and one who supports. Because there's been that absence, mom or woman has had to be all of that for herself. So for me, an example, I moved earlier this year. And when it came time to make all of these decisions that come along with purchasing a house and, organizing the move and all of that, it comes down to me, me and me alone. And so I have to step it up in a way that I wouldn't have to if I had a partner. And I think that that's been the experience of the black woman. It's like, okay, there's this glaring gap that if it's not fulfilled in some way, my household is going to suffer. And so I have to fill this space. So black women have started filling this space, but I think now we're at the place where, okay, we're filling the space and then some, right? So now it's like, okay, I am woman, hear me roar. I can do the same things as a man and even more. And I think because we have taken on that mindset, that the seed of that was really slavery and poverty, it's grown into something that is much more difficult to manage, which is far beyond success. I don't want to say that this is just about success. This is really about in some cases, a woman's inability to remain in her lane.
I wasn't gonna go there. I wasn't gonna touch it with that poll. But because I don't need the comments, but I do feel like it's like I have had this conversation with my close friends. Like I know women who make upwards to $200K and higher a year, and they refuse to date a guy who makes like 50. Like they're like, you know what? I'm not doing it. He's not on my level. You know what I'm saying? That's a step backwards. And my whole thing is 200 plus 50 is 250. And if he's a good man, good character, good integrity, you know what I'm saying, can cover you. can support you, can support your infrastructure as a person, you missing out, sis. You missing out. And that's where I said, when it goes back to trusting your intuition about the situation or trusting your programming, because that's what I really feel like a lot of people are doing. They're trusting programming. They've been programmed to disqualify this man based upon his financial status, not who he is as a man. And that's where I feel like we failing, period. We have good men out here who are just out here walking around, you know what I'm saying? Because, they don't make enough money to be your mate. And it's like women want to do what men do, but in this case, they won't do what men do, because men will marry a woman who works at the gas station if she makes him happy.
Which is why I said earlier, it's not just about success in the way that we view success, which is really career-wise. It's not just about money. It's about partnership is what I'm talking about. And I think that because women have had to carry the load by themselves for so long, it is difficult for them to accept partnership. I can even say that for myself, being the age and stage of life that I am. It's not about the money. Now, do I want somebody who has industry? They're industrious. They, have the determination and the perseverance that's needed. I remember there's an episode of A Different World where Whitley's mother was, down on Dwayne because he didn't have any money. He was broke. But she was talking about how her rebuttal was, he's industrious, he's creative, he's a genius, he's intelligent. And a man like that will never be broke. So when you're able to see beyond the dollar sign into what partnership truly is, then again, going back to what I said earlier, you have to have a level of awareness, first of all, of what you want as an individual in partnership and what you're willing to bring to the table. And if you're not willing to allow someone to come alongside of you and be a partner, you want a partner, but you don't allow someone to be a partner. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about money. You're not allowing someone to come alongside and be a partner, then yes, unfortunately, you will find yourself either single or unhappy.
So I remember a couple years ago, I'm not going to say this person's name on air, but she had said something to me. She was just like, she was going back and forth with a guy who, didn't make as much as she did. It was starting to be a problem because he would try to do stuff for her, but it would be at his level. You know what I'm saying? And, she thought it was cute at first, but then it became like a problem. And she was just like, and then even the decision making, because he couldn't, let's say, take her on a trip she would normally go on, it became a divisive thing. And she was like, Tom, sometimes I wish he would just be a man and hit me over the head, throw me over his shoulder and take me and just make me shut up, about it. And so is it manhood? Like, okay, so what does it take to lead a household? Because I don't feel like it's money. I feel it's leadership. I don't feel like it's masculinity to a certain extent. I just feel like it's just leadership skills. Do you agree or disagree?
I 1000% agree. But
okay.
A lot of people don't know what leadership is.
Yeah. And I feel like that's another whole show. Like, what is leadership? You could be the person that's rah, 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 we're going to go here. And then, you have a bad plan. You're a bad leader. You know what I'm saying? So, and a lot, something, and, your dad, my uncle, your dad, my uncle, is like, for me, he's like one of those people that I always look to as like that guy to me, because he's not a big, tall, hey, y'all need to follow me or else. He's a, hey, listen here, this is what we should do. You know, and I've always just looked up to him for that. You know what I'm saying? And I even said it at his birthday party. I remember I said the phrase, like, everything big ain't bad. You know what I'm saying? And he's just like one of those people that's always been, his decision making has just been paramount for me. And I feel like we got this, we're programming these women and these guys to pick mates on not leadership. We're not picking people on integrity. We're not picking people on character. We are really operating in a real carnal, fleshy way. And it is backfiring on us every time. You got the most educated people with the most train wreck relationship histories in the world. And we're never going to get anywhere as a people if we can't mate properly, pick each other properly. You know what I'm saying? It's really frustrating to me, really frustrating. And let me get your opinion on just you're a young, and when you talk about getting older, girl, I was ready to just hit the mute button again. You're a young, beautiful, intelligent woman. What are you really looking for right now in this point in your life?
As it relates to a partner?
Yes, as a partner. Yep.
Yeah, as it relates to a partner, I'm just looking for someone who can cover me. I'm looking, and cover can mean a lot of different things. But I think cover for me is like make somebody who has my back, somebody who makes sure that I'm good, somebody who makes sure that our house and our businesses and the legacy that we're planning to leave behind is good. I want someone who has foresight, someone who's not solely focused on the moment and what's happening right now. I want someone who has the ability to look into the future and determine, like, hey, this is what I want. This is where I see us in 5 years, 10 years. These are the things that I see us accomplishing. I want someone who is, again, that word industrious, meaning that they have the grit that is necessary to make things happen. Someone who's willing to do whatever it takes to make sure that we are good. There's someone who has transitioned from me to we. And I am the priority. I'm one of the priorities in that we. I'm looking for somebody who has depth, somebody who has a broad range of knowledge and understanding and experiences. Or maybe they don't have a broad range of experiences, but they're open to trying new things.
So let me hold on. So right now we're at a Navy SEAL who's also a librarian who also was a civil rights leader. Keep going. Yep.
Listen, you asked me what I was looking for. Okay, so I'm just giving you what I'm looking for. I think, okay, if I had to sum it up, a short list, I would say somebody who respects themselves, respects me, someone who loves God. That's important to me. And because they love God, they love me well. That's really, if I had to boil it down. Some of those other things we can work on, that I'm flexible on. But I definitely, at this age and stage of life, because I've been single for so long, I'm just looking for somebody that I can enjoy life with, and someone who's intentional about building something with me and leaving a legacy with me.
So if you listen to the show, I've talked about this before, and I talk about Arlington Church of God. I never say Arlington, but I remember being young in that church, and I remember seeing that row of beautiful women that were single, and now that row is old women that are single. What are you willing to do? Like, because I really feel like another programming piece is, wait on the man. Where I feel like some women are like, nope, I'm being aggressive. I'm getting out here. I'm putting myself in the path of, Leroy Johnson. He is the one. You know what I'm saying? So how aggressive do you feel like you need to be to make this happen? Or do you feel like I'm just going to sit back and if it happened, it happened. If it don't, it don't? How aggressive do you feel like you need to be in 2022? Because that's what we're about to go into.
My. Well, I think.
Yeah, because it's this is a real question.
Yeah, I think that it goes back to what you mentioned earlier. Dating has changed, and so I think dating has changed, but the people who want to date haven't changed. We have not made the pivot that is necessary. Because back in the day, there was a lot of in-person, activity and connections. You could really meet people in more organic ways. And it was that traditional mindset of the man is the pursuer. And I think we're in a different day and age. Now, I will say for myself, I still want how your relationship starts is very indicative of how it will end. And so I want a man who, we talked about leadership, I want a man who can lead me in my household. And so if you, for whatever reason, don't have what it takes to initiate, conversation with me, I'm not really sure if you have what it takes to lead me in our household. But I think that for me, what I'm willing to do is I'm just willing to make myself more present.
Okay.
For a long time, I like to hang out, so I don't mind going out or anything like that, but I'm definitely not somebody who traditionally would, engage in any type of way with someone who I may find interest in. I would wait for them to pursue me. Now, I'm not saying that I would go up to them and ask for their number or anything like that, but I probably would start a conversation at this point in time. And I think that for me, that has just come with a level of awareness as well as growing my confidence. Because a lot of times I think we look at people who we would consider to be nice looking people and we assume that they have confidence. And that's not always the case.
Now,
and so
let me ask you this question. So, are you buying that short little dress, putting on that red lipstick, going out, hey, my name's Alecia. You have a nice smile. And are you taking those type of steps? Or are you how aggressive do you feel like, I guess, how far are you willing to go?
If I'm going out somewhere, I'm definitely getting put together.
Okay,
that's
sis. Okay. I'm definitely putting something on. You know what I'm saying? He gonna see me. I feel you.
That's just who I am. I'm not getting ready to step out in public unless I'm going somewhere like with my family and friends that's more laid back and casual. If I'm going out where I know, hey, there could be some prospects here, I'm definitely going to put myself together. So yes, that is, I feel like that's something that's very basic. It's something that's very fundamental, is that making sure that you look appropriate, that you look appropriate, that you look like yourself, that you look like you take pride in who you are and the life that you live.
Now, how receptive are you? And that's a big word that I hear a lot of guys trying to say, but they don't know what it is. Like receptive and proactive in the dating process. So not only are you saying, oh yeah, I don't mind going to go get coffee, but you're also saying, hey, you want to go walk in the park on Thursday? You know what I'm saying? So it's a proactive mutual combo thing that's going on. Are you just a reactive person until you get to a certain point?
I would, for myself, definitely say I'm probably more reactive until I get to a certain point, and then I will. If I'm interested, I will reciprocate.
Okay.
So for me, reciprocity is dependent on my level of interest.
So if you extremely interested, if he cooked dinner on Friday, you making breakfast on Saturday morning. No, that's what you're saying. No, yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
If I am interested, I'm definitely
okay.
I'm all in. Okay.
Okay. Now, me personally, I feel like a lot of good women are, really need to be a little bit more aggressive, just simply because it's a numbers game at this point of the party. And there's like, put it like this: if you got Jim Joe right here, and you got 9 or 10 women chasing after Jim Joe, but he chasing after you, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of the numbers, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's trying to focus on you, but he does have like 9 or 10 people chasing after him. But he's trying to focus on you, and then you're the one that's sort of like being real. Well, I got to do this Monday too. So maybe we can do something next Tuesday. Maybe the 20, maybe the 32nd we can hook up and maybe get coffee. And you like, what? And there it falls like that. How soon do you think allocating time for a specific person matters? How do you know that?
Again, I think it just depends on the person. Some people, I watch a show called Married at First Sight.
Yes, love it. Yes, I was on the first season. No, I wasn't.
You were on the first season?
No, but but listen, I do a lot of coaching. When I coach some people about relationships, I use that show, the first season, as a tool. Because there were a lot of relationship dynamics in that first season that really are paramount. I mean, they're huge. Like, that girl cried. That girl screamed. She was just like, oh my gosh, you would thought she was marrying Frankenstein. And by the end of the season, they was the most bonded couple. They're still together to this day. Kids running around, and everybody else. I think everybody else in that first season broke up.
Yep.
And that's why I said I use that show as a tool, and I use it because the guy that she ended up with was the guy she needed, not the guy she wanted.
Yeah. That
was the guy she needed. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes we be wanting we don't even know what we want. And listen, she got exactly what she needed, and their relationship flourished. So sometimes our decision making is just trash. Let's just keep it 100. Our decision making is trash. So sometimes, and that's why I wanted to do this show when you was talking about trust your intuition. And then I'd be thinking people program, because popular culture, social media, everything is programming you to make a bad decision. Everything is programming you to make a bad decision. And we have to make better decisions when it comes to these relationships. These are the foundations of building blocks for the next generation. These are the most important things we are going to do as a people, as people, period, humans, is pick who you're going to spend the rest of your life with. Or if not, even if you're not, you know what I'm saying? Either or, but it's just so important. And I feel like everything from TV, social media, everything is forcing you to make a bad decision.
Yeah, I think that it goes back to your awareness, right? So that couple that you mentioned in the first season of Married at First Sight, I think that in the beginning she may not have necessarily been completely aware of who she was and what she needed and how that man met what she needed. But clearly there was something on the inside of her that told her to keep going, bringing it back to intuition. There was something. If it wasn't, she would have ended the relationship. But there had to be something on the inside of her, as well as things and people around her.
Well, they pulled her to the side. They pulled her to the side. I watched the behind the scenes. They pulled her to the side and pulled that contract out. It was like, look, you either do this or you owe us. And wow. She ended up doing it. And you're right. It was but at a certain point, she was like, hold on. I'm getting something from him that I wasn't getting before. I'm feeling something from him that I wasn't feeling before. This is going in a place, and I think it was when they went back to her hometown and she had relived like some traumatic memories. And that's when the whole thing shifted, because how he nurtured her during that period, he showed why he was there, and she believed it. And I think that's the whole key to this whole dating thing and getting to, it's like, once a person shows you something and then you're able to believe it because their actions back it up, now you can actually move forward in this thing because you both believe in each other. Okay, yeah, that's my little spiel on that. That's it. That's it.
No, I think that's real. But I think, too, it goes back to, like you said, that I didn't know that happened with them pulling out that contract. But what I was getting ready to say was that whatever that internal voice is, there's usually things and people around you. Mm-hmm. They're either speaking contrary to what you're hearing on the inside, or they're speaking in alignment with what you're hearing internally. And there probably, for that couple, there was probably something happening on the outside externally that aligned with what she was feeling internally outside of her emotions, because your emotions will lead you astray, right? Yeah. So we saw her on the floor. She was a hot mess, right? Mm-hmm. Falling out, acting like a small child on national television. Really embarrassing. I was embarrassed for her. But all these years later, they're still together, and they seemingly have a very healthy relationship. Mm-hmm. So I think that you have to be aware of what you're looking for, who you are, what's best for you, what's going to be suitable for you, and what you're looking for. And then you have to be prepared to listen to what you're saying inside yourself, like your inner voice. For some people that might be God, for other people they may feel like that's their conscience, their intuition, or whatever. But you have to really pay attention to that. And I think that, like you said, I think that a lot of women, people in general, not just women at all, people in general we're not being groomed in a way that will lead us into successful relationship in general, not just romantic relationships, but just even healthy friendships, healthy family relationships. Like, we're just not being groomed in a way that lends itself to how life really goes. Like, we get all this advice, we watch these shows, you mentioned Insecure earlier, we watch all these different shows, and we get all these different messages that really groom our minds to really the end result of what those messages groom us, the direction those messages groom us in, is really isolation. Mm-hmm. And you talked about the term loneliness. It really grooms us to be lonely people, because relationship is not easy. From romantic relationships to family relationships to friendships, it's not easy. It requires effort. It requires work. It requires intentionality. And if you're not willing to compromise and sacrifice some things, you're not going to have a healthy relationship. And that's just the end all be all to it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Look, we're going to have to do this again. We're going to have to, this is part one. This is part one. We definitely going to have to get you back on the show. I really appreciate you coming on tonight. And hey, for everybody who's listening, if you want to get some more of her content, please head over to Alecia Nicole, Nicole at the end of that.com, or follow her on Instagram at Nicole_Alecia. And yeah, she got some dope blog posts on her website that I'm telling you will make your mind shift. And anything you want to say to the people before we get out of here?
No, just, thanks for listening. We appreciate y'all tuning in. I look forward to connecting with y'all possibly in the future. And yeah, check out some of the blogs there. I share some of my stories, and this one, No Better Blues, it's a good one.
It's a good one, y'all. It's a good one. So check it out. Once again, this is First Off in My Opinion. This is Tom Swoop, and I'm out.